back there, the band, they just mentioned this really quickly in passing, but they have a merch table, and theirs is really awesome. And because theirs is so awesome, you don't see my little one next to it. But bands are way cooler than preachers. It's just the facts, and I've gotten used to that. And so when you guys go check out all their stuff, and they're too busy to talk to you at that moment, because 500 kids are there. I know we don't have that many students here. But when there's 500 kids there, like 3 or 4 of you can come and talk to me. And everything you buy off of my table goes to support a family of 4 in San Angelo. It's my family. But, so, I mean, after I pay the government what I owe them. So, it's like taxes and stuff. So, but I have brand new shirts. I'm going to tell you this. I have brand new shirts back there that I've never taken anywhere because I just picked them up this week. And I'm talking to you about the Bible this morning. I think the Bible is exciting, and so I've designed 6 new shirts. I came up with an idea. I hired somebody who's much better at it than me. And they've designed 6 new shirts. I only have 3 of them right now because 3 of them won't be ready until next week. But the idea of my shirts was to let people know that the Bible's cool without having to say, like, the Bible's cool. And so I have 3 shirts back there that come out of the Scripture that don't have the Scripture on them. And so you'd have to know where they are. So instead of telling this story 100 times, I'm just going to tell you once. I have a shirt back there that has 4 faces on it. The face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of an ox, and the face of a lion. That's from Ezekiel chapter 1, where it talks about the cherubim with the 4 faces and the wings as they're flying around. So that's from Ezekiel 1. I have a shirt back there that has 5 sparrows and 2 pennies on it. That's from Luke 12 that says 5 sparrows are sold for 2 pennies and not one of them falls to the ground apart from the will of God. And then my favorite shirt back there is I have a bear wearing a football helmet. And you're going, where in the Bible did a bear wear a football helmet? Well, we just put the football helmet on him because the number 42 is on his head. And that's the story in 2 Kings where some boys make fun of Elisha and he calls the bears out of the woods and they eat 42 boys. So if you want a shirt commemorating bears eating 42 kids, it's now available. And, yeah, never has there been a shirt commemorating that story before. So, but also I have some books that I've written and I've tried to discount everything as much as I can, but the shirts are $13.83, $15 with tax, and the books are $10. But if you buy one of each, it's $20, so you save $5. And really, that helps my family. But you can get it all online too, so who cares? Anyway, all right. So, but come and talk to me at 2. Come and hang out with me, and I will be in here after we're done. Taylor will dismiss you to small groups or discussion groups, or I will. I don't know. You want to do it? You want me to do it? Here, you'll do it.
Sorry.
Okay. Or I'll do it. No, I can't tell because you're backlit, so you're like silhouetted. So the door behind you. Okay, there you go. Yeah. He's going to do it. See? Suddenly, like when he stepped away from the door, I could hear him better too. So Taylor's going to dismiss you to small groups. You're going to go small groups, and then we're going to hang out at lunch. And then free time, you're going to go zip line. And if the water's not too choppy, you're going to boat and do all sorts of cool stuff. And then some of you, let's see, there's like 220 of you here. So like 5 of you will come hang out with me. It's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. That's just kind of how these things go. But I'm going to have fun with you 5. So what are we talking about? The Bible. We're talking about the Bible this morning. Okay? I love the Bible. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I'm a boy. And it's true. Yeah. I don't know. In case you're confused. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. I have 3 younger sisters. Don't go, oh man, that must have been tough, because my 2 youngest sisters were way younger than me, so I was actually in college by the time they were potty trained, you know. So my 2 younger sisters were way younger than me. And so I grew up in a home that called itself Christian, but really wasn't. And we went to church all the time, and I learned about Christ from a very early age. But my home wasn't a good home. It wasn't a healthy home. That's, everybody, it feels like anymore. Very few people. Every now and then I'll meet somebody who's like, yeah, I have really amazing parents. They're really godly and they love me. And I'm like, wow, that's so awesome, because it hardly ever happens. I grew up kind of a loner. I actually went to church to learn. No one was talking to me. I liked Joni. She sat 2 rows in front of me in church. Mostly I sat 2 rows behind her because I liked to see her. And so, I know, Joni, yeah. That was my junior year in high school. But no one talked to me. Every now and then Joni would say hi, which is probably why I liked her. And, it didn't take much, so somebody paid attention to me. And so by the time I was 16, I was driving myself to church. I went to a different church from my parents because I didn't get along with my parents, and I liked this other church better. And I went to church to learn, and I'd go to camp to learn, and I'd be the guy that was sitting there taking notes, and I'd be the guy that was trying to understand things. And then I wasn't ever good at sports. I mean, I used to be, I wasn't always as ripped as I am now. So, I know, that's really sad, isn't it? My sophomore year, I'm 6'2.5" right now. My sophomore year in high school, I was 5'2" and 99 pounds. Yeah, so, I know, it was...
Real spurt.
I know. I know. I couldn't bench press the bar, it fell on my neck. My feet were already size 12, and I tripped on them when we had to run laps in PD. So that's my story. That's part of it. It's sad. Anyway, when I got older, I was like, man, I really want to know the Bible. I had a student Bible. I don't remember what translation, probably NIV. NIV was huge back then, and so I had a student Bible, and I had a plan in it to read the whole Bible in a year. I thought, man, that's cool. I'm going to try that. So at 16, I tried to read the Bible all the way through. It didn't get very far. At 17, I tried it again, didn't get very far. 18, I tried it again, didn't get very far. At 19 years old, almost 20, I was in college, had a college Sunday school teacher come up to me and my buddy Scott. Scott and I are still good friends. He's a pastor in San Antonio, and we were really good friends with another guy named Ryan, who's a pastor in Australia now. And so the three of us hung out together all the time, and it probably was Ryan too, because the three of us were always together. And so Randy Anderson, who was our Sunday school teacher, got in our face, and he said, you guys have the potential to be real leaders one day. He said, but you need to be in the Word. You need to be in the Word every day. And it ticked me off. I was arrogant, and I was an angry kid at 19, just angry about life. And it just ticked me off. And I remember thinking, I didn't say it to him, at least I had enough tact to not say it to him, but I remember thinking, man, I've been in church my whole life. I probably know the Bible better than you, you idiot. And so I had this plan. Here was my plan. February 1st, 1995, 19 years old. My plan was to go back to my dorm room, start reading the Bible. I was going to read the whole Bible through in a year, and that would shut him up. That was my plan. I was going to shut him up by reading the whole Bible all the way through in a year. That's a dumb plan, okay? That's exactly what he wants me to do, right? Is read the Bible. So, I'm falling right into his trap, So I went back to my dorm room and I began reading the Bible, and it took me a year, but February 1st of 1996, I had finished the Bible, and I thought, that was good. And a little confusing. And there were a lot of things in there that I had never heard. I've been in church for 19 years, and there were stories in there that I had never heard, things that no one had ever told me. And then there were other things that I'd been told my whole life that weren't in there, and so I was like, I'm going to try it again. So in February of 1996, I began reading it again. At that same time, in that course of that year, I read the autobiography of George Mueller. George Mueller was born in 1805, died in 1898. He was a pastor in Bristol, England, built some orphanages. And George Mueller became a Christian in college at 20 years old, died at 93 years old. From 20 to 93, in 73 years of Christian life, George Mueller read the Bible just over 200 times.
That's amazing.
As you read his autobiography, you're going, man, this dude knew God. He did amazing things. He trusted the Lord in incredible ways. And I was a very timid person, very insecure person, very fearful person, very angry person. And so this idea that you could know God really well, and that He could change your life, and that He could change how you think and how you do things. I should go ahead and tell you part of my story that at 19 years old, I was clinically depressed. I spent about 18 hours a day in bed. I was afraid of the dark, had nightmares every night, was barely functioning. And a lot of that was, I really hated myself. I would start off every morning by yelling at myself in the mirror there in my dorm, just please die already. No one wants you. No one likes you. Your parents want nothing to do with you. They had regularly called me to tell me not to come home for the holidays. And so I began to get into the Word, and as I got into the Word, it began to change how I think. And it really has changed how I think about everything. The last 19 years, I've been studying the Bible now as long as I hadn't studied the Bible. And so 19 years now I've been reading the Bible. And it has altered everything about how I do life. So I want you to understand something this morning. First of all, the Bible is not boring. If you didn't know the story in 2 Kings 2, now you do. Bald guy, kids are making fun of him, right? Kids are making fun of him. He curses them. And 2 bears come out of the woods and eat 42 kids. That's a great story. See, you're going to wear that shirt. People are going to be like, oh, that's kind of a cool shirt. What's it about? It's a story in a Bible where a bear ate 42 kids. That's why there's a 42 of them. And they're going to be like, wait, what? You're like, because the Bible is awesome like that. There's crazy stuff that happens in the Bible. And I love the Scripture. But here's the thing. The Scripture is huge. It's 31,200 verses. It's 1,189 chapters. And so it feels daunting. It feels overwhelming. And we look at it and we go, man, how in the world? So I need you to understand something. While the Bible is very exciting, very energizing, very just interesting, something amazing to learn about. It is very difficult to begin. It's difficult to begin. So I want to just kind of give you a cheat sheet this morning. I apologize in advance for those of you who this will be a little bit, yeah, go.
How did you know all of those numbers?
What numbers?
Like you just said, like how many chapters it was.
Oh, I know. Numbers are the only thing I know. Like if you told me, like numbers are kind of my thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but also practice. Okay? Here's the thing. I need you to get this. Everything that I'm about to tell you from this point forward comes from reading the Bible. I haven't read this in any outside source. This is not from any outside source. So, you're an athlete, right?
Yes.
What do you play? Everything?
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell. I don't. Okay? I was a swimmer in high school, and now I write books and I paint. So, like, all of my friends are ripping down houses and doing all this, like, manly stuff, and I paint. Okay? So, I like it. You know, I saw some art every now and then.
I like art.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, art's fun, right? But it's... Of all of my friends, I'm the least manly, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? That's not true. I have one friend who shaves his arms and his legs like a girl. So, okay. No. I like you, dude. All of his friends are sitting. This guy right here. He's an awesome preacher, and he has really. Anyway, he's a good guy. So, here's the thing. So, what sport is your favorite? All of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I look like, people think when every camp I go to, I'll go to 7 camps this summer. Every camp that I go to, people are like, hey, we have a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, play on our team. I'm like, I'm telling you, you really don't want me on your team. I have long arms and I'm tall, and that's all I have going for me as far as basketball goes. That's it. I can't dribble the ball, okay? My dad put me on the basketball team in 6th grade. My dad wanted me so badly to be an athlete because my dad was an athlete, and so anyway, it wasn't good. Here's the point. If I actually took some time to begin playing basketball with you, could you help me improve my skills? Come on, I'm not completely hopeless. Yep. Could you help me improve my skills? Yeah, he was like, dude, I'm looking at you. Anyway. Okay, so let's say we hung out every day on the court and you were showing me stuff for the next year, every day for the next year. A year from now, would I be better than I am today?
Yeah.
Certainly, right? I mean, there's no way that I couldn't be. And so, here's the thing. Some of the stuff I'm about to tell you, you're going to be like, wow, I could never learn that stuff. Please remember, I'm 19 years ahead of you. I've been reading and studying the Bible for 19 years. In fact, a year ago, I started teaching a 2-year Bible class. And my students, in their first semester, what they're required to do, I help them, I walk through with them, but their first semester, they're required to outline the entire Bible. Most of us in here have never outlined the Bible on our own. It's just not something we think, hey, you know what I'm going to do this semester? I think I'll outline the Bible. And so I want to give you a cheat sheet to begin to help you understand the Bible and make it feel more manageable. Okay? So how many years, this one's a little bit easier, trying to ease you in. How many years did Moses and the people wander in the wilderness before they went into the promised land?
40.
40 years. Basically, the answers are always 40 or 3 or 7 or 12 in the Bible, okay? So, about 40, so you had a 25% chance at that. 40. Moses wandered in the wilderness with the people of Israel for 40 years. Now, open up to Exodus 12. Exodus 12.
Oh, yeah.
And then, holding your finger there, I need you to also find Joshua 5. Exodus 12 and Joshua 5.
Exodus 12. My bad. Exodus 12.
Those of you who are trying to mark 2 spots on your iPad or on your phone, that will be more difficult for you, and I apologize.
Joshua.
But you probably have a system down, right? So you probably have like 2 windows or something.
Joshua.
Exodus 12 and Joshua 5.
5.
Everybody good? Yes? Sort of? Kind of?
Almost. Page.
Almost.
Flip the page.
Yes, no, maybe. So.
I got it.
Okay.
Boom, bam.
Exodus 12. Beginning in verse 40. The time that the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the host of the Lord left the land of Egypt. So, Exodus 12, verse 40 and 41, they leave Egypt, right? How many years are they going to wander in the wilderness?
40.
40. Jump over to Joshua 5. Okay? Sorry, about Joshua 5. Joshua 5, yes, but let's go to Joshua 4, 19. Note takers, I apologize. You just had to scratch that out. Joshua 4, 19 says, the people came up out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month. They encamped at Gilgal on the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan, Joshua set up there at Gilgal. So this is where they crossed the Jordan into the promised land. So Exodus 12 is where they leave Egypt. Joshua 4:19 is where they enter the promised land. How much time? It's not a trick question. We've already answered it. How much time passes right there?
40 years.
40 years pass, right? So Exodus 12, here you go, note takers, ready? 40 years. Here's how it breaks down. Exodus 12 through Exodus 40. Exodus 12 through Exodus 40 is 1 year. Exodus 12 through Exodus 40 is 1 year. The book of Leviticus, that comes after Exodus, the book of Leviticus is 8 days. 8 days. It's 27 chapters long, covers 8 days. The book of Numbers, 36 chapters long, the book of Numbers covers 38 years and 11 months. $38 years, 10 months. Sorry. Make your second one as yours. There you go. See? Easy, right? At least it wasn't like a Q. No, Q would be... Never mind, that's stupid. Okay, so Numbers covers 38 years, 10 months. Deuteronomy... Sorry, let's go back to Numbers real fast. Question? Okay. Numbers, okay? Numbers 1 through 10 covers about 2 months. Numbers 1 through 10 covers about 2 months.
Bless you.
Numbers 11 through 20. Numbers 11 through 20 covers about 3 months. Numbers 11 through 20 covers 3 months. Numbers 21 through 36 covers about 38 years and 5 months. 38 years and 5 months. Deuteronomy is 34 chapters long. Deuteronomy covers 60 days. Deuteronomy covers 60 days. The first 34 and a half chapters, well, 33 and a half chapters, halfway through chapter 34, the first 33 and a half chapters of Deuteronomy cover 30 days. The last 10 verses of Deuteronomy cover 30 days. That's how it breaks down. Now, here's why I'm telling you this. Oh, and so Joshua 1 through 4:19 covers 10 days. Joshua 1 through 4 covers 10 days. Now, why does that matter? Here's why it matters. Because if I get up and I preach, let's say, the book of Numbers. I like the book of Numbers. A lot of people find it boring. Give yourself about 7 years and you'll really enjoy it. Leviticus takes about 12 to start enjoying Leviticus. It's just hard. So here's why it matters. If I get up and I start preaching Numbers 21, okay? This is where, I don't know if y'all remember this story or not, I'll tell it to you really quickly. In Numbers 21, the people were grumbling against God, okay? They're tired of eating the manna in the wilderness, and so God sends fiery serpents to come in and bite the people. And the people start getting bit by these snakes, and they start dying, okay? And they say to Moses, you got to pray to God that he'll remove these snakes from us, remove these serpents from us. And so Moses prays, and God goes, I'm not going to remove the serpents from you, but here's what I want you to do. Build a bronze serpent, put it on a pole. Anyone who gets bitten by a snake can look at the bronze serpent on the pole, and they won't die. Story is, snake bites you, look at the snake on the pole, you don't die. Okay, everybody good? Now, in my mind, when do they go in? Joshua 4. When do they go into the promised land?
Joshua 4.
Joshua 4.
Yeah.
And from Numbers 21 to Joshua 4, Numbers 21 to Joshua 4, I have 15, 49, 53 chapters left. 53 chapters left. That's a big chunk, right? So in my mind, I might be thinking, they've still got a long time before they enter the promised land. But in Numbers 21, they have 6 months before they enter the promised land. Everything that happens in the end of Numbers takes place in 5 months. All this sin that you see recorded of these people takes place in 5 months. It's not spread out over 40 years. It's 5 months of wicked sin at the end of 40 years of walking in the wilderness. Why does it matter? Because it changes how you tell the story. If I'm saying they got bitten by these serpents at the beginning of their 40 years, or they got bitten by these serpents about halfway through their 40 years, that's a completely different thing than they've been wandering in the wilderness now for 38 and a half years, and these are when these snakes are biting them. You have to know the details. The details matter, right? They really do. Guess how you learn the details of the Bible? You read it. Who said that? Genius. It's a genius answer. Because it's the right one, you know? You read it, right? You read it. So we pick up the Bible and we begin to read it. It's interesting to me. So I won't give you the breakdown of the whole rest of the Bible, but it's really cool if you want some more information about how the Bible breaks down. Or the book of Jeremiah. I probably said this a year and a half ago because it's just crazy. So like 4 of you know this if you were here. The book of Jeremiah is 52 chapters long. The book of Jeremiah is 52 chapters long. If you wanted to read, I'm going to go blazingly fast. You won't have time to take this down, but you can get it from me later. If you wanted to read the book of Jeremiah in order, because the book of Jeremiah itself is out of order, you would read chapters 1 through 20, then you'd read 26, then you'd read 35, then you'd read 25, then you'd read 45, 46, 47, 48, then you'd read chapter 36, then you'd read chapter 22, then chapter 23, then chapter 24, then chapters 29 through 31, then chapter 49, then chapter 50, then chapter 27, chapter 28, chapter 51, then you'd read chapter 34, then you'd read chapter 21, then you'd read chapter 37 and 38, then chapter 32, 33, 39, 52, 40, 41, 42, 43, and 44. The last chapter of Jeremiah isn't 52, it's actually 44. Jeremiah is out of order. I have it written down.
Still, it's like you still did it.
I did all the work, though, to write it down. Anyway, I'm working on memorizing. But it's all right, calm down. Here's the point. I have a friend, he's a good friend of mine, one of the wisest men I know. Whenever I can't preach at a place, he's the guy I always send in my place. And we've been friends now for a few years. And I called him the other day, and we were talking. He is working on planting a church in Austin. And I know, right? Yeah. So he's working on planting a church in Austin. We were talking the other day, and I said, what are you reading right now in the Bible? He goes, Jeremiah. And I said, are you reading it in order? And he goes, well, the Bible's out of order. And he goes, so I'm reading Jeremiah where it falls within the Bible. I said, yeah, but Jeremiah, the book itself, is out of order. Are you reading Jeremiah in order? He goes, Ryan, I know that Jeremiah isn't where it is in the Bible. It's not in the right place. He goes, I'm reading the Bible in order. I said, no, Tony, are you reading Jeremiah? Forget the rest of the Bible. Are you reading Jeremiah in order? And he goes, yeah, like in the order it goes in the Bible. I'm like, Tony, stop for a minute. The book of Jeremiah, 52 chapters. The chapters are not in the right order. So I read him this. And he went, wait, what? This is my friend, seminary dude. And he's like, I've studied Jeremiah in seminary. How come no one told me it was out of order? I was like, I don't know. I was an art major, so, why do I know that? I mean, that's the real part, And so I gave him the order. He read it through, and he goes, Jeremiah makes more sense when you read it in the order it's supposed to be in. I'm like, I know. He goes, why do we leave it out of order? I was like, I don't know. So my thought, Baruch is the guy who wrote down all the stuff for Jeremiah. He's the one who wrote down. I think he was carrying a box of scrolls one day, tripped and dropped them, and didn't want to tell Jeremiah. Whatever order he wanted it to go in. Because Jeremiah is a mess, Jeremiah's like, are these the scrolls I wrote? Yes. Are they still in order? Sure. Baruch's going, who will notice? College dropout. That's who will notice. All right, so people tell me all the time, man, I went to college and I didn't catch that. I'm like, I know, you went too long. They made you dumb. The Bible is so trippy. It's fun. Anybody want to stand up here and let me point at you? Anybody? Okay, come here.
Ooh, getting pointed at.
You. Yeah. I don't know if I need 3, but we'll pretend. Okay?
We'll pretend.
So.
No, I don't shave
so
my leg.
Here's the
thing.
thing.
Girl. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go to Genesis 25. By the way, Genesis 2 through Genesis 6. Note takers. Genesis chapters 2 through Genesis 6 covers 1,656 years. Genesis chapter 2 through Genesis 6 covers 1,656 years. Genesis 7, 8, and 9 covers 1 year. 1 year. Genesis 10 and 11 covers 292 years. Genesis 12 through 25 covers 100 years. Anyway, we'll get to it later. Okay, so here's the thing. I love this stuff, by the way. My best friend in the world, my wife, okay? But my best friend other than my wife. Because if I said my best friend is this guy named Micah, y'all be like, what about your wife? She's my best friend. Aside from her, there's this guy named Micah. He planted a church with me. We've been friends for about 12 years. I've actually known him and his wife longer than I've known my wife. But my wife and I have more fun. So, Micah and I, we talk a lot. And Micah, he's like, I'm so glad you like numbers. Because he goes, all I have to do now, he goes, I don't have to learn any of that stuff. He goes, I can just call you. He's like, because you're my best friend, so I just call you and go, how long was Abraham alive before this happened? And I just tell him. And he's like, thanks. And so, that's like, he's decided he didn't need to learn this as long as I'm alive. So, I'm hoping I'll die really soon, so he has to learn it all, That'll be really beneficial to him. So, it's okay, my wife has a life insurance policy on me. I'm sure she'll be fine. So, here's the thing. Genesis 25. I'm just going to read a little section, then we're going to role play a little bit and just hang out, okay? So Genesis 25, okay? The answer is 100. How old was Abraham when Isaac was born?
100.
See, you guys are sharp. Nice. So, Genesis 25 verse 7 says this. These are the days of the years of Abraham's life, 175 years. Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man full of years, and was gathered to his people. The years of his life were 175 years. How old was Abraham when he died?
175.
175. Which means how old was Isaac when his dad died?
75.
75. How do we know? Math! So far, reading and math. I know that Kyle last night said he promised that you wouldn't have to do any math. I didn't make any promises, okay? So, then as you keep reading in Genesis 25, see, keep reading, and you come down here and it says, these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham fathered Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to be his wife, the daughter of Bethuel. And then you keep going and it says, and Isaac was 60 years old when his sons, Jacob and Esau, were born. How old was Isaac when his sons, Jacob and Esau, were born? 60. Now, if you're just reading the text, okay, you get to be Abraham, you guys get to be Isaac, and you're going to be Isaac, you're going to be the twins. Okay?
You're two people.
I know. It's okay. So, have you ever felt like you had two personalities inside you? Just go with it, okay? So, Genesis 25, verse 7 says, Abraham dies at 175 years. You can just sit down right now because you're dead. But we're going to bring you back to life in a moment, okay? Okay. As you keep going, as you keep reading in 25, it says this. It says, Isaac got married when he was 40 and at 60 years old had twins, okay? Now, as you're reading in the Bible, here's what people do all the time. Adults do this all the time. Adults, I'm getting ready to ruin some of your days, but for the better, I hope. Adults do this all the time. They say, look, Abraham died, and then Isaac had kids. The problem is, when does Abraham die? How old is he? 175. How much younger is Isaac? 100 years, right? He's 100 years younger than his dad. So stand back up, Abraham. Okay? I know, right? So Abraham's 100 when Isaac is born. How old was Isaac when Isaac got married?
47.
So is Abraham still alive when Isaac gets married?
Yes.
Yeah. Isaac is 60 when the twins were born. Is Abraham still alive?
Yes.
Yes. Come here, Abraham. For 15 more years.
Somebody was doing math
Now,
back there.
here's what's crazy. In the Bible, the way they tell the story is they wrap up the life of Abraham and then they start telling us about the life of Isaac. But just because they wrap up the story of the life of Abraham doesn't mean Abraham's dead yet. Does that make sense? So when you're reading, you're going, oh, Abraham's already dead. He never knew his grandkids, but he actually knew his grandkids for 15 years. Now let's get really fun, okay? I need somebody else.
Oh.
I saw you really fast out of the corner of my eyes, so come here. You're next, okay? In fact, come up here. You're going to... Why not? Okay. So, you ready?
Probably
So,
some other years.
Abraham dies after the grandkids were born by how many years? 15 years. This will blow your mind. Come here. All right. I'm going to have you be, ready? Because you look animated to me. You look like you could, like go nuts. Ready? You're going to be the flood that devastates the world. The whole planet except for Noah and his family, right? Genesis 6, 7, 8, and 9, right? So you represent the flood. So I need you to be fierce. I'm sure that's a pop culture reference that I don't get. Okay. Abraham, come here. You're Seth, okay? Sorry, by Seth, I totally mean Shem. Seth is Adam's son, okay? You're Shem, okay? Somebody else said they wanted to help me. Hey! Yeah, come here. Sorry. Look, I'm going to teach tonight, too. I'm sure I'll point at more people. Unless I die. Pick you next. Okay, and you? And everybody? Yeah. Let's just get down here and just do it. Let's just do the timeline. Okay, so, come here. What is your name? Yeah, you won something this morning, didn't you? Because you're the tallest guy I can. Yeah, okay, so. He is tall. I'm 6'2". Okay, so, all right, so here's the thing. Come here. You get to be Noah, all right? You're going to be one of Noah's sons, Shem. Okay? Noah has 3 sons. Be glad your name's not Ham. You're named after a meat. Okay? So, you're Shem. All right? So, here's what happens. Here's the flood. Noah and his sons, you're going to represent all 3 sons for now. Noah and his sons get into the ark before the flood, right? And then after the flood, scoot over just a little bit. Come on over here, Noah and the sons. They get off the ark. Now, here's what's crazy. After the ark, here's the flood. 292 years later, Abraham is born. How many years after the flood is Abraham born?
292.
292 years. Check this out. Shem is still alive when Abraham is born. 292 years later. Check it out. Abraham dies 175 years old, right? Come on down here. 15 years after the grandkids were born, Shem, come here, Shem, lives 35 years after Abraham dies.
Is Shem a ghost?
A goat? No. No, Shem is not a ghost. Okay, so here's the thing. Or a goat. I mean, Shem is neither a goat nor a ghost. Nor a ghost of a goat. Okay? Here's the thing. Here's the thing I need you to get. Check this out. Okay? So, somebody have a calculator with them? Yes? No? All right, ready? I know it's the weekend, I'm sorry, but it's always like time to know stuff. Okay, you ready? You ready?
He totally got his calculator out.
He totally had his freaking calculator.
292. Throw in 292.
He literally has a calculator.
Plus 175. Plus 35. How many years have passed since the flood? 502? Okay, so Shem is alive 502 years after the flood. I need you to think about this. This is how cool God is. Because Shem, in our story, dies in chapter 10. The death of Shem is recorded in chapter 10 or chapter 11. Your death is recorded in chapter 11. And then the story of Abraham is recorded from chapters 12 forward. And Abraham's death is recorded in chapter 25. So if you're just reading the Bible straight through, you think, Shem died in chapter 11. No, Shem's death was recorded in chapter 11. Shem doesn't die until chapter 26.
Shem is 502 years old?
No. Shem is 502 years old after the flood. Shem was
But he
not
was at the flood.
right. Shem was 98 when he got on the ark. Okay? No.
Exegesis.
Hold on. Wait. So here's what's cool. So think about it like this. Shem gets to have an impact on Abraham. Why would that be important? Abraham's the father of our faith, the father of the Christian faith, the father of everything we believe to be true about God. Why is it important that Shem's still alive? Because Abraham came into the picture 292 years after the flood. Why does it matter that Shem's still alive? Because what does Shem know about?
The flood.
The flood, God's provision, the power of God. Shem gets to bear this story for another 500 years, and it begins to build into the culture. The world knows the story of the flood because of Shem. Because of how long Shem lived. The Bible, man, has all these okay, sure, bears eating people is fun, right? Let's just go back to that. Everybody's like, can we just stick with the bears ate people? Yes, you can, but you can't stay there. If that's where you stay on your Bible understanding, if you stay with bears ate people, then you're not going to know very much about Christ. Because everything I'm telling you right here, all this stuff, actually matters in understanding who God is. Actually matters in understanding who Christ is. This is why, see, you guys are looking at me like my friend Micah looks at me. He's like, man, this isn't fun. People don't believe that this is fun. This is really fun. Okay? Here, you guys can sit down and I'll point at some other people later. Thank you for letting me point at you.
Woohoo!
Let's go to 1 Samuel. I'll show you something else. 1 Samuel. And then I'll shut up because I don't think you guys are having as much fun.
This is amazing.
You love it?
Yeah.
Abraham, you rock.